This episode of Noise of the Broke Boys is brought to you by Outside. Have you developed a fear of the sun because you stay inside all day commenting on YouTube videos? Or maybe you've developed an addiction to posting about how awesome your life is on social media between your day job as an overpriced thrift store clothes model and side hustle selling your new rap mixtape. Talk to your doctor to see if outside is right for you. 5 out of 5 people that have tried going outside have seen positive results ranging from, but not limited to, talking to actual people, feeling sun on their skin, moving their bodies, and not caring about the latest celebrity gossip. Happiness is just around the corner and through a door. Talk to your doctor about going outside.
Some participants of going outside have suffered severe injuries and even death from, but not limited to, being hit by a bus, coronavirus, being eaten by wolves, a piano falling on them from a 10-story building, and kidnapped by terrorists.
And now, on to the show. In today's episode, I talked to the West Coast pioneer, innovator, and frankly legendary b-boy and hip-hop figure, my friend and influence, BBoy Ace. Please enjoy the episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Today, I have the man, the myth, the legend, the teacher, the pioneer, the father, the fiance, future husband, and b-boy. He's been dancing since the beginning of time itself. Very long time.
91, yeah.
How long?
Since 1991.
1991. Wow. So that's how long?
Yeah. Going on 30, 29 years.
Well, man, you know what's interesting is that I was talking to someone recently was that breaking kind of started around like mid 70s, right? Is that about what you think?
Yeah.
That's at least what I've heard. So you've been breaking for probably more than half of the lifetime of hip hop. Mm-hmm. That's like really crazy to even think of, that it's such a young dance, such a young culture that in 100 years when it's still around, people are going to look back and go like, what was happening in the beginning? Because it was like, there's so much fluctuation in it. And that this era right here is like really what helped kind of define it to be whatever it ends up becoming.
Well, the thing that's interesting to me now is because there's been ebbs and flows to where it starts, stops, stops. But from 91 on, it's been consistent. It's been going. There's been no stop.
Yeah. So
it's gained as much momentum as there's ever been, and it's been a consistent thing.
Yeah.
So since this time that I began, and there were some who started, who it was going a little bit before I started. But it's, many have stopped, but the whole thing has kept going. So that's a beautiful part about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I got started. I had no interest in dance. I didn't start originally as a b-boy.
Interesting.
I originally started as a house dancer, West Coast.
Oh, okay.
West Coast house.
Yeah.
Which is different from the house
now. Yeah.
That is known. It's like a mixture of New Jack with a lot more upper body movement.
I see.
So, there was New Jack, and like that was fun. Mm-hmm. But for me, I didn't really have an interest in doing that. My brother was really good at New Jack. He was little. Yeah. Okay. And he tried to show me, and I couldn't do it. Like I struggled even with something that was less complicated.
Okay.
But I didn't have an interest in it, so I was like, I'm cool on it. No big deal. I want no part of it. Then the person who ended up being my teacher, and crazily, it's crazy to say, but to this day, one of the greatest dancers I've ever seen, Aaronel Coloma, from Palm Springs.
Okay.
He was a house dancer.
Yeah.
He used to pop when he was little. Then he went into New Jack, and then he went into house. And he was super talented. And he saw my brother, who was really good at New Jack, and he wanted to teach little kids to be great house dancers.
Yeah.
So his intent was to teach my brother. And so that's how I met him. And I brought him to my house to teach my brother.
Yeah.
And while he was waiting for my brother, he was just moving. And that was the craziest thing I ever saw in my life. Like, it was literally like poetry in motion. I was tripping.
How old were you at that time?
Oh, God, 16 maybe?
16, okay.
Yeah, some along those lines. I believe I was a sophomore in high school, like second half. Yeah. And I saw him move, and I just couldn't believe that somebody can move like that. Like, I had never really seen anything like that, and seeing it in person is a completely different experience. Mm-hmm. So I was bugged out, and I just kind of knew that that's what I wanted to do.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was. I harassed him. I literally harassed him for a couple of weeks
to teach you?
To teach me.
Wow.
And he wouldn't, because he told me, he said, do you understand? Like, you can't do New Jack. And that's like basic arithmetic.
Yeah.
House is far more complicated. So it's kind of like doing pre-algebra.
Yeah.
He's like, you want to jump steps. You want to go straight to pre-calculus, algebra, whatever it is, without even knowing basic arithmetic.
Yeah, you don't even know how a plus sign works.
Yeah, you can't even just make your lower body coordinate, much less upper body and lower body synchronize beautiful movements.
Okay.
But I was undeterred.
Okay.
It was... I saw it, and from there, like, I just knew I had to have it.
Okay.
And so I just kept after it. I kept bugging him. And finally one day he said, all right. I'm going to teach you one step. You're going to learn that step, and then you come to me with that step, and I'm going to teach you another step. And I was like, deal.
Okay.
Deal.
That's a good deal.
Yeah. But I had to work for that one step.
Yeah.
And but he realized I was not going to stop. And from there it was a wrap. I was 24/7 with it. Wake up, move,
practice it,
practicing, trying to coordinate this uncoordinated body of mine.
Yeah.
At school, during nutrition, during lunch, after school, at practice at his house, before bed. It was crazy. I was a maniac.
Yeah, that's a hustle.
Yeah, I was a maniac. But I wanted to move like he moved. Mm-hmm. And I knew I was far off. I was not, I was realistic about where I was at and where he was at. Okay. But I wanted to get there as quick as possible. So I was 24/7 with it to the point where he literally had to pull me aside at some point and tell me that,
your mother misses you.
Yeah. Love that. Love your determination, but
you got to sleep sometimes.
The guys are getting a little annoyed that you never stop, and I was hurt. Oh. Yeah, like I literally avoided. Didn't see him for a while, taking different routes to classes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And literally after a week, we crossed paths, and he kind of cut me off and was like, "Hey man, like, where you been?" Like, and he's like, "Don't take it that way, like, we're not saying stop, the guys, just take a couple breaths, like breathe for a minute." Yeah, but yeah, so that began my long journey at the beginning. I was getting pretty good at house, after a good little while. And then we went up to an event called Filipino Weekend up in Delano. just past Bakersfield.
Yeah.
And that's, the group we were with was Boys in Style, BIS. And so we were going up there, and, we were going to meet with the rest of the group, and we were under the assumption that a group, the Soul Brothers, which is a famous house group from LA, were going to be there and, wanted to battle them.
Yeah.
And they never end up showing up. Our one of the crew members' cousins from San Jose, a group called Dangerous Image, came down and like they were going to be with us.
Yeah.
And they were a choreography group.
Okay.
That also braked because San Jose was big into breaking at that time. And we all got bored, and somehow it ended up being a battle between Dangerous Image
and you guys?
And BIS.
Okay. Except
for they braked and we didn't.
Oh.
So, they were really good.
Yeah.
And the main guy from their group was a walks guy. This guy, Alan. And he did walks. He was really good. He not merry-go-rounds and all that, but he had really good walks.
Yeah.
Hence the inspiration.
Yeah.
When we started the very next day, we stopped housing and we started breaking the very next day.
It was just that quick?
It was an instant, it was like watching magic, really the power, precision, grace of, high level breaking was like, wow, like, okay, that is, it was inspiring. So yeah, we started breaking. Ernell was breaking, but he was popping. And, and he used to do that back in the days. And since he was such a good dancer and so coordinated, he picked up he was an amazing popper, like amazing. Yeah. But yeah, that became our road. And since our main inspiration from the opposition was a walks guy, BIS became a walks crew.
I was just gonna ask you guys.
We did spins. We did, all the spins, but we cared deeply about walks.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy because, like, definitely you guys, like, it's like walks, and for people who don't know walks, it's like the float. How do you explain it?
Yeah, you're on your hands. You're walking on your hands. Yeah. Legs are off the ground, and you're kind of going in
it looks
a
like you're just
circle.
Floating.
It's like a pocket of air is underneath your body, and you're just walking around on your hands. And there's so many variations of it. But yeah,
and you guys innovated those moves, which is crazy that, like, I guess before you even break, you saw someone else, like, kind of...
Well, I mean, there were guys in the past, like we didn't really know them too much except for when we started breaking, since there were no examples of breaking. Like, we saw it in person. And then when we wanted to start learning, we're, just a few breaking, Beat Street. Like, those were our only examples of breaking because there was no YouTube. There was no footage. It was what you saw in person, other than those couple movies that were on some VHS tapes. And of course there were guys, in B Street and breaking that did, some high level walks. There's Buck 4, of course. His turtles, he's super fast, amazing. But other than that, not a lot of. And then of course in breaking, there's Handyman, amazing, his amazing walks. But those are only a couple variations that were shown on tape. The rest, we were just going and figuring it out.
Yeah.
And, hearing from some of the OGs from Master Movements, giving us ideas on things that they had done or seen. or heard about. You know, so they were kind of just giving us some input. Oh, try this. Oh, there's a walk like this. You know, but they couldn't do it. They were already done. But they at least were giving us the ideas and kind of a framework of what, you know, just some things to try and work on. And from there, we were just working at it, you know, like determined to get good at that, you know. Yeah, you know, and then of course it ended up leading, you know, after several years to higher level walks. Me and my brother were teaching the guys from 101 up in Pasadena, and you know, those were guys like Brick, Ren, Dap Stunts, which at the time his name was there because you know they used to tag. So and
did you ever do it?
I was never into tagging. I just straight into
dancing.
Yeah, I went straight from like sports into dance. You know. But yeah, you know, so those guys, you know, we taught those guys, and then the scene was just you know, getting bigger and bigger, little by little, you know.
So what inspired, I guess, your creativity within that dance? I mean, I guess obviously going from housing to breaking, and I mean, I imagine a lot of that had influenced your style. I mean, because housing, or at least the housing from back then, was very kind of jumpy and still flowy.
Well, very flowy, but you know, and there was different styles in house. You know, it was not the same movements. There were guys that had a very rigid, hard hitting style. There was others that had flowing. There was a lot of popping elements. In it. So even in the West Coast house, there was a lot of different looks. You know, that kind of differentiated each, you know, dancer's own particular persona. You know, and the way they moved. So, you know, when we started moving into breaking, we were, it was mainly power based. We did some style, but from what we had seen, because our experience was very little and there was no footage, there was not a lot of differentiation in style. So we kind of did it just to say we had style, just to kind of check that box. But it wasn't, at least for myself, I was not highly inspired to do style because I felt like it was in a box from what I had seen and experienced. It wasn't until the tapes of Storm and them that kind of made their way over here that, like, the realization that,
you can do so much with it.
It really is just like house. Like it really is, you know, style is really as far as your mind, your creativity, your persona. Like, levels, personality, silly things that end up looking dope. You know, like there was just that realization that, like, there's no limits.
There's no limits.
Like, it's dance, just at different levels and in a different way. But it's still dance, just like house. So from there, style, you know, I was all about that. You know, like cool. it became a very fun and an ever-ending puzzle that to this day I work on.
It is a puzzle. I mean, what drove me to breaking actually is something similar. Is that there was no limit. You can come into it and just kind of have fun with it, do whatever you want, make it work. You know, really, like if you had a dumb idea to try to make something work, just roll around on the ground, try to make it work. You know,
some of the most amazing steps that happen are by accident.
Definitely.
You know, just from the attempt of something new, you provide yourself with an opportunity to do something that, you know, maybe it works and that's amazing. or it doesn't work out, but it turns out to be a better step.
Yeah.
Because it was something that your body just automatically had that on a DNA level.
Yeah.
That you were not aware of,
Yeah.
with your own consciousness, but on a more subatomic level,
Yeah.
your body already had it
Yeah.
in tow and was just ready for you to give it the opportunity.
Yeah. I'm completely convinced that every move in breaking was from someone just falling down and going, oh, let me try to control that and do the same thing though. But, and just make it look cool,
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a constant thing to where you're trying to like expand or go into new uncharted territory.
Yeah.
When we first started, like, for me, the thing that keeps me coming back is I know I'll never have this bad boy figured out, but it's so fun just because I'm always searching for things like something new, like as if I was a brand new B-boy who was first stepping onto the floor for the first time.
Yeah.
I have that same thought process, and what I love is the guys, Rob and Cujo and all the other guys, that run in our circle have a similar mind frame of play. Like what we do is very serious, but we play like children. Like it's something that brings joy. That's something that we approached like the first time. We're not afraid to give each other input or to move in a weird position, just because there's something exhilarating about that.
Just playing around and
just playing,
having fun. That's something Poe One actually told me, is that the reason he likes the word B-boy rather than something different like B-man or B-adult or whatever is that really you have your own adult responsibilities, but when you come to break, you are letting your inner child come out to play, and that's why the word B-boy or B-girl is more appropriate than something like B-man or B-woman, just because you're letting your child come out and have fun and be creative.
I think anybody who is, I don't want to say doing it properly because not to demean anyone else, but at least for myself, to me, that's doing it right.
Yeah.
It is allowing yourself to be free. And I think when you particularly associate with children, there's a freedom that they have that as adults we lose on many lose on various levels.
Yeah.
They lose their freedom. They lose their they have these preconceived notions that, oh, well, I'm an adult now, and so I need to respond this way, or I need to give this up. I need to do, and that's not the case. You could absolutely be a responsible person, a caring individual that handles all the various responsibilities of your day-to-day, but still be that child. To still carry your inner child in various parts of your life. I mean, I still watch anime and cartoons.
Oh yeah,
to this day.
I do too.
Yeah. It's funny. I had this thing with my fiance the other day. We were watching something, and it had to do with fairy tale type stuff. And for a second, she seemed disinterested. I said, "Oh, okay, let's turn this off. I'll watch this later." And she's like, "Oh no, don't be like that." She's like, "It's just, I'm not a child anymore." And I said, "Well, why do you, why do you have to lose your imagination?
Yeah.
Well, just because we're a certain age, why do you have to give up your imagination?
Yeah.
Why do you have to give these things up? Like we handle all the things we need to handle, it's
not hurting you.
There is nothing wrong with having an imagination and creativity and holding on to that childlike part of yourself. And I think it helps us connect and, even with our own children, I think our children are more connected to us and love us all the more because we understand them just, on some level, just a little bit different than maybe a parent who isn't holding on to a part of their inner child.
Yeah. This is like a subject that's pretty dear to me because, my mother, she's an artist, and she was working with a lot of people that were, under, they had a lot of problems, drug abuse, all sorts of stuff like that. So she was running this program where she would teach them art kind of as a therapy, and they were finding that when these people really hadn't done anything creative in their life for a long time, and once they started doing that these creative things, it started like sparking up change in their life for the better, so that they were more willing to get their life together. And so it was like something that they were just lacking as a human in their life. And so it made me really think that, or believe that, creativity is just like this fundamental thing that humans need. And I think it's deeply connected with like play. This is the way we play.
Well, of course, b-boying is one thing. Being able to play laughter. Of course, scientific studies. How laughter and being able to tap into things that bring us joy. Life is hard.
It is,
for particularly for adults, a lot of responsibilities. To be able to take a moment for yourself, to be able to put all of that on pause, and to be able to let go of everything and tap into something that fulfills you, that brings you fulfillment, brings you a joy, and different people find it in different ways, and certainly, dance does that for us. But it's an important thing to be able to find things that bring you meaning, that bring you joy, that allow you to play and create, in one form or fashion. When people talk about me and dance, and I guess I still look fairly young. I'm 45 now, but most that speak with me think I'm much younger. And it's just because I think it's because I allow myself, I make some time for myself. There's a different side, a different purpose, whether it be taking care of myself. Dance has done a lot for me. The way I take care of myself, the way I eat, sleep, the way I take time for exercise, stretching, and that's all for my dance. So for me, dance has been, a true blessing, just because I would have to find the motivations, to somehow pull and do those things on my own. But, I would have to generate it somewhere else, because for me, my motivation for doing all of those things has to do with my performance as a dancer. And, it's funny, I was talking about Storm as, motivation. One of the things I liked is I had seen him on many occasions, but never spoke with him because he was always surrounded by so many people, so many other dancers. They had admiration for him.
Yeah, he's definitely an influential figure.
Because, of course, it's deserved. But I never wanted to meet him in that way, because even though I have all the admiration in the world for how he influenced me, I don't think anyone is better than me. I don't think I'm better than anyone else, but I don't think anyone else is better than me. We're humans, that inspire each other. But I didn't want him to see me that way, to where everyone's like tugging at his coattails or whatnot.
Like fanboying or whatever.
Yeah. So even though I had opportunities, I never spoke with him. And then one of the times at one of the freestyle sessions, I had seen him with the guys from Soul Control, which are like my little brothers, Charles and Cujo and them. They were sitting and just talking with them. And I was like, amazing.
Yeah.
because those are my guys, and I could just sit down and talk. And they introduced me to him, and I had the opportunity to be able to let him know that I really appreciated and what he had done for me, helping me, inspiring me, and helping me to understand that it really was like dance, you know, and made style fun. About a week later, he was up north for an event up that way, and Charles was going up there to hang out with him and kind of take care of him, show him around, drive him, and had invited me to come. I went up there, and so from there, I got to be around him more and just talk, you know, and and humanize the myth, I guess. Not just about dance, just about whatever. And you know, like, I think one of the things he appreciates is when people just treat him like a normal person. You know? Like, you know, he understands that he's had impact, but he knows he's a normal guy too. You know, and wants to have stimulating conversation with people who treat him just like any other person. And we had that, you know, and to this day we do. I was just talking with him the other day, and we were chopping up over some other stuff, you know, but we were able to build on that. And then when we finally danced together, like we hadn't, you know, we just hung out and talked philosophies on whether it be life, b-boying, the dance, the way we saw it, and we saw things very much the same. And then it wasn't until the very end of the weekend that we were over at Mega Man's house, and it was, I think, his lady's birthday, and we were all in the living room, big wood floor, you know. And we started off locking, and we were having fun that way. And then he said, "Oh, now I feel like breaking," and we started breaking. He went out. The guys were going out. He went out, and then there was a time I was gonna go. I was gonna go out, and I went out, and I think he just wasn't. He didn't think that I could, I guess, dance on the level I was dancing. So I got up, and he was about to go out, and he kind of had like and then he pushed somebody else out, and they went out instead. And then it's like, funny. And then he ran something through his mind. And then, of course, right after that person finished, he went out and destroyed it. But me and him must have went like 20 something rounds. Oh, wow. Yeah. Like, we were just having fun, you know, playing. And, and I didn't know it at the time, you know, cause I was just having fun exchanging. And it ended up becoming a thing where a lot of the guys were watching, and me and Storm were exchanging, just playing. And I remember Gerald, rest in peace, you know, one of our other, Gerald Casterlow, he had come in and said, "Yo, Charles wants to go. You know, we're waiting on you guys." And I was like, "Oh, Storm, we got to go." And Storm had told Gerald, like, "Yo, tell Charles we'll be out in a little while." And then he looked at me and said, "Yo, Ace, let's keep going." And then we just kept going for a while longer. And when we left, you know, he was like really happy. You know, I mean, I knew I was happy, but he was happy. And he's like, "Yo, Ace, like, I haven't danced like that in, like, I can't even tell you how long," you know? And I was like, "Get out of here, bro." Like, you know, like, you're in a different country, like, every week, surrounded by amazing dancers. And he said, no, you know, it's different. You know, like, people either are in, like, look at me like too high, or they're trying too hard to impress me. You know, like, instead, like, just, he said, me and you, we were just kind of having a conversation. You know, and that's a whole thing about dance. Dance is a conversation. You know, like he's like, "You were doing something that's giving me ideas, and I was going out and doing something, then you were getting ideas, and then you were going," like he said, you know, that I haven't had that in a really long time.
Yeah.
You know, where somebody just had a conversation with me, you know, and he said, like, for me, that just blew my mind. And like I said, you know, we're kind of, I don't know, to me, kind of like kindred spirits. Like, you know, like we see things a lot the same way. And, you know, I feel blessed that I have people like Rob and Cujo, you know, like we're all kind of in that, you know, like I try to surround myself with people that are like-minded, you know, that have that open-mindedness. And if they don't, I try to cultivate it. You know, and help them to understand that, because at least for myself, I that's where I found the real joy. In dance. It is in the exchange, in the conversation, in being open-minded to new ways of moving and taking something and flipping it, you know, on its side, on its back, on its head, whatever it might be, you know, because there's no one way of looking at this thing, like, you know, and the beautiful part is we will never have this thing figured out, and it's what keeps me coming back. Because when I come out to a dance floor, when I go to a practice, there's an exhilaration that I have no idea what's going to happen today. And and that's amazing. You know, I gave up the preconceived notion. Oh, this is what I'm going to do. This, I have a few ideas like, oh, I want to try this today. Other than that, I just give it up, because I found that when I go out with preconceived notions that, oh, I'm going to do this, 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 and this.
You think too much. That's what happens to me.
It becomes, well, I mean, in the end, like we talked about that subatomic level, how you go in and you're going to do this move and it doesn't work out, and sometimes it works out better. Because your body on a subatomic level knew, nope, we're doing this. When you try to work against your body, when you work, you know, like
your body's going to win.
and it could just come out all kinds of ugly too. Like, you know, like at some level, you have to give in to wherever your body's at on that day. Like, oh, I'm going to work on this. If your body says, nope, we're doing this instead, you're best off trusting, because in the end, your DNA knows better.
For me, like what I've always done is, and what I've been trying to do a lot more is, like when I train, I'll train, you know, different sequences of movements that I think work well together. But when I actually dance, you know, perform or battle or whatever, I try to just not think of anything. I just try to focus on music, try to focus on whoever I'm battling or whatever I'm performing at. Just focus on the moment and just let my body do whatever it's going to do. Because I've spent all the time in practice working through different combinations that I think make sense, that I trust that my body is going to know when to do that or when not to do that. So if I just focus more on music and just let it happen, it just feels more natural to me. It probably looks more natural too. And then hopefully those combinations I have been practicing make their way out in some form. And, you know, I'm happy with that too. So it sounds like that's maybe like what you do as well.
Yeah, I mean, I have ideas, you know, like I think it's at least for myself good to go out like, okay, I want these things to come out at some point in time, you know? Like, and a lot of the muscle memory will kick in.
It is muscle memory.
You know, if you've put together certain combinations and certain movements, you know, they're going to come together at some point. They're going to execute just because you've done these different things. But of course, there's a spontaneity to our dance. And, you know, working in with music and all that, you know, and of course, I feel that music is important. I feel like, I think there's some people that play too hard to the music, to where they start to kind of lose themselves. And when you hitting, you know, and to each their own. Every single beat, you know, sometimes when people work every single beat, then they kind of lose, I guess, a certain moment. Like for me, like I'm in the flow of the music. the way I dance, I stay in the flow and the pocket of the music, and then I accent different parts that I want really to stick out or stand out. And being in that wave, the rest, I'm just going and flowing through the rest of the music. You know, and there are some people who are amazing at hitting every single beat. For me, I see a lot of hit or miss with that, though, too. Yeah. Sometimes it's a super amazing moment that's etched in the history of time.
And other times it's like, oh, that's enough of you.
Well, there's others that it was like, I kind of lost the message.
Like they're trying too hard to do every single thing. And it's like, okay, I don't understand the story you're actually trying to portray now.
Yeah, because I mean, at least for me, I feel like when when I go out and the dancers that I seem to gravitate a little bit to, a little bit more, they're moving and they're telling some sort of story, with a beginning, a middle, and an end, and just for me, the ones that hit every single beat, every single time. Like I said, there are some spectacular moments, some rounds that will always be remembered, but then there's also some times that you are left walking away saying, I didn't really get what they were trying to tell me. Just me, just the way, I see it. So it's definitely a catch-22, and it's a difficult thing to pull off, and only a certain few are really, at least to me, that I've seen that really pull it off and make me say, oh, wow. Okay, like that they pull it off more times than not. They have a higher ratio, higher percentage of being able to pull it off.
What is one of the, I guess, highlight moments that you've seen, I guess, in all your history of the dance? What's something that stands out? I mean, obviously your story with battling Storm is probably a highlight, but what about other things? Maybe something that you maybe
not battling. We were sharing. It was a conversation. Of course that was a highlight. Like I've just had, with the moments, there's just so many. I mean, just I don't know, just sharing in the community, seeing all the different generations of dancers. Come through and give their part, inspire in their way, and then being able on our end to be able to partake in and share with them. Like, as you know, whatever practice that I'm at or event, if I see something that I feel can be helpful to another dancer, I'll usually make my way over and just kind of throw it out there. Just say, like, this is take it or leave it. You certainly don't need to use this, but this is something that I see that I think can help your dance. But I hope you don't take that the wrong way. Because we've always been a firm believer, me and the guys have always been firm believers in helping bring the next dancers up, or even veterans. Like, it doesn't matter. Like I've had guys that have come to me, so many, and say, hey, I know people look at us like legends, but like we want to grow too. Like, like doesn't mean that we don't want to learn.
Yeah.
And I knew what that kind of meant, like, that they were looking for help. And for me, like, I'll help anybody who has a decent heart, So my response has always been like, well, yeah, of course. Like, if we're not learning and growing, what are we doing here? Like, anyone who thinks they have this dance figured out, that they're out of their mind. And they've stopped growing. That's two things. Because the moment you think you have anything figured out, growth is done. Like there is no more growth. The moment you think you have it figured out, you're wrong. You don't have it figured out because it's an endless thing.
Yeah.
But if for those who are, lucid or out of their mind enough to think that they do have it figured out and, I'm on this level. So the growth is done. Like you stop. So anyone who has ever, like I said, I offer it up, to anyone just freely. I'll walk over, and offer it up. So if somebody were to ask me, and many who are considered legends, of course, I've taught many, they've been my students, and others that have made their legend status on their own, but just are still on the path of growth. If they've ever had a question or wanted to learn something, I'm all for it, because we don't. Let's keep growing. Let's keep doing it. Feel free to ask me anytime. Like I love it.
It's an ever-changing thing. I mean, hip hop, I guess, if you look at it throughout its history, every couple years, it's a different thing. And so if you're not, I guess, evolving with it, you're also, you're losing yourself a little bit.
Kind of. As far as ever evolving, on some level, it's fads too.
It is. It is.
On some level, things come and go. Mm-hmm. So, it's cool to pay attention and to keep growing. But if it's something that calls to you too, because in the end, you still have to be true to who you are as an artist.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that I see that look great, but I don't feel they're for me. Mm-hmm. So I continue to grow in the ways that move me. Mm-hmm. And because if we're constantly worrying about what somebody else is doing and what's in right now, then we're never really going to find ourselves. Mm. We're never going to find who we are as a dancer and to continue to build us, to build yourself as an artist.
Yeah.
So, but it's good to pay attention, because if you see something that says, wow, yes, I want to use that and incorporate that into my dance, because I think that will take what I want to do, and change, take my art where I want it to go. Like we talked about at one of the last practices, a vision for your dance. You may not be able to do everything that you want to do, but I think any great artist has had some sort of vision for what they want to do, like some grand scheme, that's kind of crazy, and you may not be able to do it now, but when you have that vision, you kind of start doing different movements and different exercises and stretches and whatever else it might be to kind of work towards that goal, to work towards that vision, and then of course there's a whole lot of play that comes along that will change your vision around. But I feel like, all the great artists have to have some sort of vision, even if it changes along the way, to have a vision and to work towards a vision, and to be cognizant of what's around you, but not consumed, to where you have to do what they do.
Yeah.
To know okay, that's dope, and I recognize that's dope, but that's not me. Mm-hmm. I'm going to continue to do what I do, and take the parts that I really want, that I feel will take me towards my vision. Yeah.
Yeah, the thing that me and Vince do a lot is we'll see what other people are doing, what the fad really is, and rather than try to do that, we'll go, okay, if someone does that against me in a battle, what am I going to do?
Well, yeah. No. I mean, I
how you can respond to it.
Well, especially if you're looking for battles. The responses to to questions, you know, or to be able to respond in kind. If, you know, in a battle, you know that this is what is generally out there. Yeah. This is going to come, and you have a response. You know, those are just good battle tactics to be able to have a response within what you do.
Well, yeah, what I do. So.
Yeah, you know, but you already have answers to the question.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know, so those are things that are very important. And then, of course, like you said, you know, and then things like battles and stuff like that. That's a whole different. You know, it's its own element in conversation. And being able to, I mean, of course, you have to do what you do, but be able to, like, even the way we package what we do, you know, our movements and the packaging and delivery of what we do can be the energy in which we do what we do is very different.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, but I think one of the important things is that it comes from a genuine place. You see a lot of actors, you know, in the scene to where, that's not really who they are. It's not a genuine part of their dance.
Actor. I've never heard someone say that, but that's what it is. Yeah, it's acting. Yeah.
You know, and the ones who like are best at what they do, I think more times than not, things do come from a genuine place. Yeah, that's why it receives more credit, than not, because people can feel something genuine behind their movements, and at least for the ones to me that stand out, and over time, like they still like not just winning a jam, and not just winning an event, but being admired, being able to be understood as a pioneer of what they do, and to be like to draw inspiration from others, to where, because they just see something that is more genuine in their movements than the typical person who executes things and wins that jam. There's a lot of people who win jams that are not, maybe never really be remembered. You know, I'm sure there's so many people, you know, when you look back, you're like, who won this jam? Who won that jam? And not remember them. Whereas there's people like Robzilla or Cujo that have lost more jams than
they ever won, and you remember their.
But they will, when their name is talked about, people know and are like, wow, like that guy is amazing.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I have the same thought about it, is because there's so many battles I remember vividly, because, you know, either I was there or I saw footage and I was like, this is a crazy, amazing battle. And I can't remember who won, you know, that battle, or who won the jam, or anything about it other than the battle and who was in it. I can tell you exactly what each person is wearing or whatever in the battle, but I'm like, I have no idea if they even won the jam. I don't even know where the jam was. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I could care less, to be honest, but that battle there was crazy, and it's cemented in my brain as like one of the coolest things I've ever seen, you know? And so it just goes to show you that the jam is not the defining thing. And the winning a jam is not the defining thing. It's like the moments that you're creating as a dancer.
The moments that you create, the way you inspire and are inspired by others, and the way you inspire others with dancing from a genuine place. You know, just though many dancers have come to me over the years and said, oh, well, what do you think I should work on? And what would you recommend for this? You know, and I was like, okay, you know, well, one, what is your end goal? Are you looking to win a jam, or are you looking to be remembered? You know, because those are two completely different things. Yeah. You know, and then I usually bring up the analogy of things like Cujo and Rob and stuff like that, you know, and that when people bring up their name, always like people automatically know who they are.
Yeah.
And they're inspired and think like, wow, like, he dances like nobody's business. Like I don't even know how he came up with that, whereas there's many others that are amazing. They execute, but maybe they just haven't found their own, something that stands out but solely.
Yeah.
To where this belongs to this person. Like nobody dances like this guy. When somebody tells me like, oh, Ace, like, I don't know. I don't think I dance like, I suppose it's maybe because I don't think too much about my own dance. I just enjoy the process. I'm always in process. Yeah. And, and there's just a genuine joy in dance. But when somebody comes to me and says, oh man, like, yeah, like when you dance, like I know it's you, like nobody dances like you. Like that brings me a joy and satisfaction, because that's my end goal. I don't know if I'm doing it, and onto what level, but for me, I want the freedom of being me. I want, when I dance, I'm trying to just find me all the time.
Yeah.
And it's a continual thing, because we're ever changing, we're ever growing. Like the me of 91 should not be the me of now. I should be a different me. So even when I go out and dance today, I'm searching for my truth today. Who am I today? And just being open to, if that's different, I think for the most part, there's going to be a feel of who you are, but new aspects of yourself.
Yeah.
And I don't know, for me, that's what my thought about creativity as an artist is not to just hold on to, to find yourself, but doesn't mean you have to be the you of 3 years ago last week, or, like that person was amazing at that time. Love it, cherish it, and move on. And move on. Because you can't ever recreate those moments. Those moments were wonderful at that time, but if you're stuck there, it's never going to be the same. You can do the same combination. It's never going to be exactly the way it was at that moment in time on that day. And, and I had to learn that a long time ago too. I had some different amazing moments, that just came about, and I tried to recreate them, and worst sessions ever. Because that moment had passed, And the moment I came to the realization that you got to let go, and understand that was a beautiful moment at that time, but that is over.
Yeah.
And trust, like we talked about, on a DNA level, that whatever your body is telling you and wherever you're at that point in time, trust it, go with it. As long as you feel you're not imitating or copying somebody else, you're kind of finding your way and finding your truth for that day. That's where the beauty lies.
Kind of embracing the you of right now and moving with it.
Of course, because nobody's just going to change and be a completely different person. But you can find definitely new elements of yourself, if you're open to it. And for me, that's what makes, dance, being an artist, so much fun, is finding these new parts of yourself, like every single day.
Yeah. So if you were to go back in time to the 91 version of you and tell that version of you, I guess, some advice, what would that be?
Oh God, I'm not really sure about what I would tell myself back then, because I've enjoyed the process the whole way. You
just observe.
You mean observe myself of old, or observe?
No, you now going back in time to see the 91 version of you. Would you say anything or no? Or would you just observe or just...
Well, you know, that's a double-edged sword too, because...
Yeah, it might change.
Well, you know, like for me, I've enjoyed the journey.
Yeah, the journey is fun.
It's all about, you know, like it's all about the journey. Like, you know, the beauty of today, like I've had so many amazing moments throughout my life, but I think it's because I understand that I'm only given today. I don't, like, I arrived at this point just because I woke up every single morning and said, well, I still love it, so I'm going to do it. Like, that's it. I'd never in my wildest dreams would have imagined that going on near 30 years that I'm still, you know, 45 years old, still busting, still breaking, you know, still dancing, period, at 45. You know, when I was a teenager, you know, 16-year-old, you know, a 16-year-old kid starting. We thought somebody who, you know, busted for 9 years was like, whoa, that he's OG. Like, that's old school. Like 9 years. Yeah. Like, and here, more than tripled that. Yeah. You know? And yeah, like it's just crazy to even think that we would still be dancing and at a high level. Like, you know, that's, you know, one of the things that me and Storm were talking about the other day was the joy of dancing still at a high level, having high expectations for ourselves, and saying, I never, ever want old man props. Like, I'm sorry, I dance because when I dance, you know, like I do the things I do, I take pride in my dance. Like, I love the process, but make no mistake about it, when I'm on a dance floor with other dancers, I want them to understand that I'm a bad man. Yeah. That when I do things that they can't do, even younger. Yeah. Like, you know, doing walks, close, like, you know, certain power move combinations that I can do at 45 that some of the younger cats can't do. The younger cats don't do walks like me and Cujo. Yeah. They just don't. It's not the same. The West Coast, merry-go-rounds, dead man's, all the different high-level sky turtles, carousels, whatever you want to call them, like all the different variations. We walk around we glide around a room with our body fully extended. We're not hopping in one place. You know, and I know a lot of people, they don't understand, you know, and on some level, yeah, it's weird and arrogant, but the walks that are out there are on an elementary level in comparison to the way that me and Cujo do it.
It is like it's a lost art, I think. I haven't seen a lot of people do much of it.
It absolutely is, and people will never understand it until they try it. When they start down the journey of doing it the way me and Cujo do it, they understand. They have a what the hell moment. Like, you know, one of the homies, Castro from Guadalajara, he was down here in Los Angeles. Dude is so strong, super, super strong, has amazing walks the way everyone else does them. Hopping, full, you know, no problem, knock it out the box. I started taking him under my wing. You know, Cujo was trying to show him stuff, and then he started showing up and wanting to practice with me. So I took him under my wing and started teaching him the way me and Cujo do. And like I said, can do it the way everyone else does it, like nobody's business, and can hold his body straight out, like nobody's business. Very strong. But learning how to do it the right way, the way we do it, West Coast walks, he struggled. And he was like, I'm so tired, bro. Oh my God, this is so hard, bro. Yeah. Like, you know, like good month, working with him regularly, struggling. Yeah. And finally he started to get it at the end. But this was like a regular thing that I was working with him, imparting my knowledge, telling him, no, put your hand here, get your hips over here faster, do this, along with all of his already previous knowledge. And he struggled with it. And he started to finally get it at the end, but then he had to go back to Guadalajara. And I told him, practice, 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 because high-level walks is not like regular moves.
Yeah.
Like, if I were to associate it, regular, like most moves that you get it, it's like once you get it, you get it. It's kind of like a one-night stand. With high-level walks, that's a marriage. You're in a long-term commitment. You better keep at it, because she will get up and walk and leave you. She will leave you. And I told him this. About 6 months, to a year, like between there, went on vacation in Mexico, was down there in Guadalajara, met up with him and his crew. And he told me, I'm so sorry, bro. I lost them. Like, I didn't listen to you. I didn't practice them. And they're gone.
Oh, man.
And so I told him, okay, I'm going to teach you again. Like, and we'll work at it. And this time, stick with it. I have to see his account to see where he's at. But it just shows, it's an example of how difficult high-level walks are. The way Cujo and I do them really are. And I take a lot of pride in that. And I can still, me and Cujo both can do all of our walks, different combinations that we've done from the past. We can still do them at a high level in our 40s. And for me, I take a lot of, the moment I can't dance the way I want to dance, then maybe I'm going to stop. I don't know. I haven't gotten to that point yet. But I don't want old man props. I don't want somebody to say, "Oh man, you should have seen Ace back in the days." Like, like you can't tell.
Like you can't see him right now.
You can't see it now. But he used to be really good. The thing that brings me most joy is when a dancer who doesn't even know me comes over to me and says, like, "Hey, hey, what's your name? Like, where are you from? Like." Dude, you're really good. Like, and then when I tell them who I am and a little bit of my history, for them to have that, what? Like I love that, because those props from a really good dancer,
they mean more.
Oh, I mean, more times than not, it's a really good dancer. Somebody say, oh, that guy's pretty good, and then they make their way over and reciprocate that same love and admiration, saying, hey, who are you? Like, when you walk over to somebody that you just don't even know and say, I kind of have to know who you are. I think highly enough of your dance that I want to know who you are. And then, then to find the history later, and then of course the admiration is much deeper once they find out, like, what? You're this person, you're a Cujo's teacher, you're this person's teacher, how old are you? Oh, 45. What? like for me, that is, there's a satisfaction and a joy, because just as an artist, I want whoever it is that gives me respect or respects what I do, I want it to be from a genuine place. Like, if it's not there, I don't want it, because then that will feed my motivation to work harder, to get back to where I need to be. Like, and there's, like, I understand there's good people come from good places when they're being nice, but there's also something that handicaps the other person, whether it be kids or girls or whatever it might be. The reason why we've gotten to the people who have gotten good, it's because there's a need of wanting to be appreciated, to be recognized, to be validated by others that they admire. there's a hunger, not to say people don't fulfill their own cup by like, being an artist, but I firmly believe that, and I think that we all want to be recognized by others we admire. We want to be validated, and for that person to say that dude is good. Like, like I really, like what the person I admire admires what I do. Like, wow. Like, okay.
Yeah, that's
cool. And that feeds our hunger. That feeds our flame. So whatever it is, I always want it to come from a genuine place. And like I was saying, me and Storm were laughing about that. Like, dude, like I call it quits. Like if I can't do what I do and feel good about my dance when I step on a dance floor, like I don't want anyone giving me pity props. I don't want somebody saying, "Oh, that was." That was pretty good. Good job. Good, like no, man, don't do it. Don't do it. Walk away. Walk away.
It doesn't sound fun at all. Like,
no.
Get a pat on the back and say, it looks like you can do half of what you used to be able to.
Yeah, like, oh, you still got it.
Yeah.
Like, no, man, don't feel, don't do that.
Like, it's not that you still got it. It's like it never left. It was always here and it got better. So that's what you're going for.
Always, I'm looking to grow. I'm looking to be a factor. I'm looking to inspire, myself and others, like, and I think a lot of really great artists have this about themselves too, that they are their own biggest critic.
Yeah,
definitely. Like, I know. Like we talked about having a vision. Like I know what I want to do, and it's something that's been a double-edged sword because I've always been hard on myself too. I could do something incredible and it didn't work out the way I wanted to, and I kind of walked out of the circle like it wasn't amazing, where others are like, even Poe, you spoke about Poe used to tell me too, he had to kind of help me with that too, where he's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you did something amazing and you walked away with your head down. He's like, don't do that. Like, play it, what, like nobody else knew that you messed up. Like in your own head, you might have messed up, but nobody else knew that. I was like, I'll tell you that right now. Nobody else knew that. The only way they knew it is you walked away with your head down. Like that, So that was, that was something that I had.
You break very precisely too. And so like, I can imagine where you meant to put your foot exactly in this spot, but you missed it by an inch. And you're like, oh, I messed up. But literally no one can tell that you didn't put it an inch backwards where it was supposed to be and you missed it. So you'd get up and go like, oh, crap, I messed that up. And then they're like, I don't know, that was crazy to me.
No.
You look pretty disappointed, though.
And that's, that's kind of been my, my blessing and my curse. Because I'm always out there searching for my own perfection. It pushes me. I strive, I work. I've always been a worker. Like I said, I had 2 left feet, people will see me. They're like, what do you mean? But I was terrible. I was terrible. I worked for everything that I had. I've had to break down, train, use my mind, more than the average dancer because I had to, I've always had to break down an understanding of a step, a combination, a power move, body positioning, like where I should be at a certain point in time. So when I'm able to teach, I could be a teacher. It's helped me to really be a good teacher to others because I myself could not do without having a full grasp or understanding.
Yeah, you understand the intricacies of making the move work.
Yeah, and I think you can make moves work, but I think for me where it's been a blessing too is, I've been able to continue to grow and find more efficient ways of doing things because because I can do something doesn't mean I feel like that's the only way and that there's not a better way. I'm always searching to see if there's a better way. I'm always questioning myself. Like, yeah, I feel it this way, but I'm open to the possibilities that I can do it better, or that there is a better way. You know, because where I did something at that point in time, yeah, it was effective, you know, but yeah, there's more. You know, and we found a bunch of new ways, whether it be power moves or style, of saying, you know what, if you put your foot down faster here, or you put this knee down, you know, like, and then we tried, we're like, yeah, that does work. Like, like, dope. And then just a whole new range of possibilities come in constantly, you know? So yeah, it's amazing, man. I love it.
Well, I think with that being said, we could probably end this show. We've been going for an hour and 15 minutes already. It kind of time flies by, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, man. I appreciate you having me on. You know, like just being able to speak about all the possibilities and the culture and our artistry. You know, because that's what we are. You know, I always appreciate the opportunity to just conversate.
Yeah, no, it's important to kind of spread the ideas that we all have and just put it out into the world and see what other people have to say about it. And just, you know, I guess the Zulu Nation, each one teach one is important. It's important in hip hop to do that. And so.
Well, yeah, it's going to, you know, like we're only a moment in time. We all are just a piece of all of this. So if we keep it to ourselves, where does all that knowledge go after we're done, after we leave? You know, like I said, we're only promised today. So even with somebody who has good intentions, oh, maybe later I'll get around to it, you know, like they're not promised that time. So, you know, being able to share with each other is a vital part of any society. Yeah,
and as we said, this dance, hip hop is still in its infancy in a way, and that you know, there's so much history that's, you know, beyond us. So it's good to get these ideas out now, and just because, you know, we don't know where the scene's gonna go from here, and I mean, it's exciting to see what is in store for the future, and so
definitely,
So. Well, thank you for coming on. Do you have any last-minute shout-outs or anything you want to say, or any plugs or anything?
Oh, well, just, you know, the guys, you know, my brothers, whether it be Master Movements, Soul Control, you know, my various inspirations around the world, you know, my teacher, Aaron Coloma, you know, like for giving me just an opportunity, you know, and even when he sees me now, you know, he says, man, you were like the last person I ever would have thought would have made, you know, an impact. But look at you after all these years, you know, but nobody can measure your heart, your desire, your play, your, you know, and many of the great dancers I see around the world started with similar themes, to where it was hard for them at the beginning, but nobody can measure their heart. So, you know, if you have a want for something, do it for you. You know, in the end, always do it for you and have fun doing it the whole way through. Don't let anyone tell you what you can or can't do. I had that from the very beginning, and many others have also. We can do whatever we put our mind to, you know, and have fun along the way.
Well, you heard it here. All right, thanks to you guys for listening.